All right, hello everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today we are going to be doing a how to add a new product tutorial in CapSim. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can follow along with me if you'd like. So in CapSim, you start out with your 5 products. For the practice simulation, or if you're team Andrews, you start out with Able, Acre, Atom, Aft, and Agape. So to decide what new product you want to do and how you're going to do it, you're going to need a couple pieces of information first. So obviously, you need to have the Capstone Decision online portal open. You need to have your ideal spots from your situation analysis. I've just taken a screenshot here and I have it actually uploaded in the Google Drive. But you need your ideal spots, and you're also going to need your Capstone Courier. This is the generic round 0 Capstone Courier that I got, but if you create a new product in any round, you're going to need your ideal spots and you're going to need your Capstone Courier. So let's go ahead and begin. So this is round 1. This is the very first round we're going to do. And usually I tell people that if you're going to create a new product, the earlier the better. Because adding in a new product is very expensive. You have to pay for the R&D, you have to hire people, you need to add capacity and automation. So the longer that you can have your product in play and to get money and pay that back and start earning money off of that product, the better. So you can actually create a new product the very first round. Because if you were to create a product in the 7th or 8th round, it would only be out for a round or two, and you wouldn't earn your money back. You'd be spending a whole lot of money basically for nothing. So we're going to go ahead, and in the first round, we're going to add a product. We can see I've already inputted all my decisions, my performance, size, and my MTBF standards. And that is talked about in a different video, so I'm not going to go over that. But now I want to decide which product I want to put. And this first round, looking on our round 0 Capstone Courier, is pretty tricky because nobody has really moved. Nobody's really done anything. But usually I tell people to create products in 3 categories: high-end, traditional, and size. In my opinion, those are the easiest ones to do. Remember, the low-end product, I'm going to show you on the right side of my screen here. The low-end product, they want an age of 7 years old. So by the time our product came out, and by the time it got to the age of 7 years old, the ideal spot, what they want for age, the game's basically going to be over. And you can do performance. Performance is a really good thing to do, but it's sort of hard because the margins are a little bit lower, but it is a high growing industry. So basically what I tell people, it's if unless you know what you're doing and unless you've practiced this, do everything but low end. So that means traditional, high end, size, performance. But performance is a little bit more trickier in of itself. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new size product. So we need to go down to our Capstone Courier for size, and we need to look at what they care about. So the number one thing they care about is the ideal position. They want something that's small and it has 43% importance for their, what they care about. Next is age. They want an age of about a year and a half. So they want something that's, pretty new, that's consistently going to be updated. And then they want MTBF, that's third place. And lastly, they care about price. So they want what they want and they're willing to spend it to get what they want. So we look at the top right corner of our Capstone decision spreadsheet, and we see that we are preparing for round 1 and the year 2022. Usually, if you were making decisions, you would go to round 1 and you'd put 4.7 and 9.6. So before I do that, I'm going to name my new product. It has to start with an A. Just because this is a practice round, I'm going to name it A size. But if this were actually the actual competition, not the practice rounds, you may want to name it something sneakier, like you want to name it Apple or, Atom or something. We already have an Atom. You'd want to name it something else because you don't want to say A size and just give it away. Because, yeah, you just want to be a little bit more sneakier. But because this is a tutorial, we're going to name it A size. So now, if this were regular, if this product were already established, we'd go ahead and put in the round 1 characteristics. So 4.7 for performance and 9.6. And we'd look at our MTBF, the reliability, and we see that it's in 3rd place. So the higher it is, the more we want to do, the lower it is, the less we want to do. So we're going to leave it in the middle, and we're going to put it at about 19,000. And we're going to hit recalculate. And remember, unless it is the low-end product or you're adding a new product, your goal is to have your revision date be in the same year that you're making decisions for. Because if you weren't, it would block out this box and you wouldn't be able to make decisions. So we see, based on the round 1 year in advance decisions of 4.7 and 9.6, it's going to push us to the 1st of April 2023. And so next year, when we go to make our decisions, we won't be able to make decisions and it'll be blocked out and we're going to start to be behind. So because we're creating a new product, we're actually going to want to do something different. We're going to want to look at round 2, so 2 years ahead in the future, because it takes so long for this product to come out. When it comes out, we want it to be, fast enough and small enough so we want to stay in that year. But because we can't stay in that year, we're going to go ahead another year, so what it should be in 2023. So we're going to look at round 2 at 5.4 and 8.6. And remember, the MTBF, the standards for MTBF don't really change. It's sort of a set it and forget it in the first round. So we're going to recalculate, and we see that 5.4 and 8.6 puts you at the 21st of June, 2023. So it's not going to come out this year, but it's going to come out next year, because we'll talk about this a little bit later, but in production, it takes 1 full year to add capacity, and we don't have any, so it's not going to come out till next year. So this means that 5.4, 8.6, we're exactly where we want to be. Agape, actually, next year, it's going to be at 5.4 and 8.6 as well. And one thing I tell people is, look at your iPhone right here. Apple comes out with a lot of very similar products. They have the iPhone 12s, 12s Pro, 12s Max. They have a ton of different products, and they're all pretty similar. So it's okay if you have 2 products in the same segment that are generally identical, but it also depends on what type of strategy you want to do. I usually do a broad differentiation strategy, sort of a cost leader strategy as well. But really, I just try to do good in every category. So we have our R&D in here. We recalculate and we see that all of our revision dates are good, and our new product isn't going to be done until the next year. So instead of doing it for round 1, we did it for round 2. So let's go ahead and update our official decisions. Let's save, and let's go ahead and move on to marketing. So I haven't made any of my marketing decisions yet, and we see that our new product, A size, is 100% blacked out because the product has not been released. So we don't need to set a price. We don't start marketing for it yet, and we don't have a forecast for it because it has not came out, and it will not until next year. So next, let's move on to production. And this is where, you really need to make your decisions with your new product. So I haven't made any decisions here either, but I would. You'd make your decisions as normal, but for now, I'm focusing on just what to do for this new product. So one thing we need to do is we need to estimate how much capacity we're going to need. And if we go to the bottom of our CapSim Courier, page 10, let's look at some of these market share in units for our products. So we see Able has 13%, low end 16%, high end 14%, performance 16%, high end 15.5%. We're not going to get that in the first round just because it's a new product. But one thing that I have learned just from doing the CapSim Courier or the CapSim game simulation so many times is new products will have between 5 and 10% market share if they are properly positioned, properly priced. So if you have a good product, they're going to have between 5 and 10% of the market share. So because adding capacity and automation is expensive, sometimes you can't get the full 10%, but we're going to try and get it here anyways, just for tutorial purposes. So just like we were doing in the other videos, we need to calculate what our next year's total sales are, and we need to create a marketing forecast, even though we aren't doing marketing this year. So we need to find out the total industry unit demand, and that is found in our Capstone Courier on page, I believe it's 8 for size. Nope, wrong way. It's on page 9 for size. So our total industry unit demand is how many products are going to be sold in the entire segment for size. So that's all of our competitors combined. So remember, Capstone Courier, it is a review of last year. So last year, the total industry unit demand was 19,084. So we're going to go ahead and put 1,984. And I just scroll down, 1,984. And it's going to grow by a certain growth rate because every year more people are buying size products and it's a growing industry. It's a growing segment. So the segment growth rate that it gives us, this is going to be the exact same every single year, every single round, is 18.3%. And just to make the math easier, we're going to do 1.183. So it's essentially 183%. So 1183. Let's see, I'm not going to make this a percentage actually. So 1.183. And, okay, I'm struggling. So we're going to do our 1,984 times 1 plus the growth rate of 18.3% gives us 1,984 times 1.183 gives us next year total sales are going to be 2,347. So that means next year, every single person in the industry, all of our competitors combined, we're going to sell 2,347 units. That is the demand that the customers are going to want next year. But we only have a slice of the pie. And like I said, new products will have between 5 and 10% market share. So let's assume best case scenario, it comes out fire and it comes out amazing. We just, this new product is awesome. Let's estimate that our market share is going to be about 10%. This is different than what we would do if it were an established product. If it were an established product, we'd scroll down to page 10 and we'd look at specifically what it was for that product, for that segment. But we estimate that we're going to have about 10% market share. So let's go ahead and make that a percentage. So we're going to do the 2,347 times 10%, and that is going to give us 235 units of capacity. So now we are going to go into our production spreadsheet over on the right side of my screen, and we're going to add 235 units of capacity. So let's go ahead and recalculate. And we need to make this an automation rating. I wouldn't recommend doing anything lower than a 3. So let's go ahead and do 3.0, and we're going to go ahead and recalculate. So one thing that I would caution people with is oftentimes your new product is going to grow very fast. So adding capacity is expensive. So if you want to, and if you have the money to, you could increase this a little bit just so if you grow and do amazing, you're not too far behind. So let's estimate, we're going to do really good, and it's okay if we have a little bit of extra capacity. So we're just going to bump that up to 300. But this number right here, it isn't an exact science, but this is just going to give you a baseline and try to get that minimum amount, that 235. Because remember, I haven't made any of my decisions yet, but you want to try and get that 300. And remember, like I said a few minutes ago, adding a new product, so adding capacity and changing automation takes 1 full year before it goes into effect. So this year we can't make any product because we don't have anyone to make the product, but next year we will be able to create up to 600 units. So that's perfect. This is exactly where we want to be. So we did 300 and 3.0. You would go along making all your other decisions as normal. You'd go to finance and you'd issue your long-term debt, common stock, current debt until you got your cash position to be positive. You're going to update your official decisions. So let's go ahead and update those. And just for tutorial's sake, I'm going to exit. I'm going to advance to the next round and show you what it looks like when you have another new product. So you're going to advance the game to the next round. Sure, advance game. My scores are going to be bad because I only made like a quarter of the decisions I should have. So launch the spreadsheet. We are now in round 2. So let's look at R&D. We see that it is grayed out, but we prepared for that. So we pushed it out into the year 2023. So it's going to come out in June. It's going to be exactly where it should be. It's going to be perfect in its perceptual map circle right here. If we look at marketing, we see that we can begin to input price, the promo budget, the sales budget, the forecast, and we can also start doing capacity in go to production. Oh, minimum value 6. It's actually going to make me type in stuff. Okay, just because it wants me to. So let's go to production. And those are just random numbers. Don't follow them. But now we can see that we have 300 units of capacity at 3.0. automation, and we can actually start beginning to produce units. So we have created a new product. Again, this is something that I would recommend doing in the first couple rounds, because after that you begin to sort of lose time to make up on it. And one thing I want to touch on is with the marketing page. Again, this is in my marketing tips Google Drive. That can be found at uvucapsimhelp.wordpress.com. But again, for each individual product, you're going to want to spend that $1,500, and that is individual to each product. But the second you introduce another product, the sales budget gets a little bit trickier because accessibility is related to how many products you have. So essentially, instead of spending the $3,000 in the sales budget, you're going to up that as a total and spend $2,250 in each for each product. So my new size product, this is going to be, pretend it was $3,000. I'm going to change it to $2,250. Change that to $2,250, and that would be the ideal amount to put in. So again, it's going to be a little bit different depending on how your situation looks, how your simulation looks, but this is generally how to add a product. Let me know if you have any other questions, and I'm here to help you. Thank you.